Hi everyone, welcome back to Newcastle Fans TV. Today we're going to be scoring the players after a narrow 2-1 victory. Newcastle beating Everton at home. Of course, the big headline news being Jordan Pickford dropped for this game. So we're going to be scoring the players. Joining me today, we've got Liam, and of course, as always, with Liam's dressing gown, looking dashing as ever there, mate. How are you doing?
Well, I am fine, thank you. How are yourself?
Not too bad. It was a bit of a squeaky bum time at the end of that game, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. Because what I was watching was a bit behind, and I seen 2-1 on Twitter, and I was like, "Oh no, 6 minutes to go." It's just going to be the reverse of what we did at Everton last season.
Yeah. Well, without any further ado, then let's crack on. I'll kick us off with Karl Darlow. Then he starts in goal. Obviously, he's been in the main keeper at the start of this season, and he's performed really well. He's had a lot to do. Which I think is down to the defence in front of him rather than him. But he's played quite well. And today, I think he had quite a good game as well. He couldn't really do much about the goal. But the one thing that stood out for me was the save with Bernard, who had a cross/shot that he had to tip over the bar. Didn't do anything particularly wrong. He was a bit shaky in the first half. So I'm probably going to give him a 7 out of 10 because it was a good performance. He made the saves that he needed to save. Couldn't necessarily do anything about the goal, but he was shaky in the first half, like I say. So I think the 7 out of 10 is a fair rating. What do you lads think? Do you reckon that's fair? You think you give him less or more than that?
I think it's fair. I think you've done everything right. I don't think you can really question Darlow for the goal. To be honest, I know he's went to pick it up really, but Calvert-Lewin nicks in front of Lascelles and he stabbed it home. So. Yeah, I think it's a good score. I'll possibly maybe slightly higher, maybe an 8. I don't think he. But then again, he wasn't really tested with it. There were a lot of long range shots from Everton, so he'd done the basics. His distribution was good, so yeah, fair score.
All right then, moving on. I always like to go right to left. I know some people like to go left to right. So we start with Jacob Murphy on the right-hand side, playing in that wing-back position again. Liam, what do you make of his performance today? Obviously, he's not started a lot of games for us. He joined the team in the last game, played quite well, and he's kept his place. What did you make of his performance today?
I would say it's about average. He didn't really do much. Like, he had a good couple of glimpses, but I just think he didn't provide a lot today, if I'm being honest. But I don't know whether that's because the way we're set out to play. When he did get forward, he was good, but I think I'd probably give him a 7 in a push. I don't think he was a 6. I think he's 7, yeah.
Lee, what do you make of that? Do you think that's harsh, or I think that's bad. I think he did everything right to stop the crosses getting in. Obviously, we know Calvert-Lewin's the danger man in the box, when he had a couple of good moments going forward. Do you think 7's a fair score?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was a little bit quiet the first half. We didn't see enough of him on the ball. He did try a couple of long range efforts, didn't he? Later on in that second half, it's a solid performance. We do have that issue at right back. I still feel I don't think Jacob Murphy's the long term answer, but it's his shirt to lose at the minute. So it's a fair score. I don't think defensively he was troubled that much, and that probably shows you a lot about our defensive performance today.
Yeah, I mean, there was one thing that stood out for me was in the first half. I think it was 5 minutes in. He played a very similar ball in the last game. Murphy, just from the right back position, looked for Wilson over the top, played a long ball down the line and got Wilson in behind. Wilson skied this one today, but the other game got tackled in the box. But he looks a bit more creative than some of the fullbacks we've got in that right back position. So I think it's 7 out of 10 is probably fair. And Lee, if we could have your rating for Fabian Schar, how do you think he played in a back 3/5 today?
Again, fairly solid. Wasn't really tested much to come out of that defence. If he's going to give score Murphy a 7, I think I'll go along the same lines. I don't think Fabian Schar was tested, to be honest. I think obviously Lascelles was looking after Calvert-Lewin most of the game. But I'll go a 7 out of 10 for Fabian Schar. Whether Bruce continues this wing-back system or not, who knows? But yeah, I think it's a fair 7 out of 10 for Fabian Schar. And if it does change to a 4 next weekend, I think he'll probably lose out in that back 4.
Mm-hmm. He's definitely the luxury player out of the three of them, isn't he, Liam? I think he's just he's got his moment where there's an error in him, whereas I think Fernandez and Lascelles are perhaps a bit more defensively solid. And so if we move on to the captain, Jamaal Lascelles, then I'll take this one. I think he had a really good game today. I know he had a couple of wobbly moments at the end of the game. Calvert-Lewin got the better of him. I think for the goal, it was supposed to be his man, but he got unlucky with the deflection off Lewis, took the ball away from him, kind of lost concentration. But apart from that, I think he had a really, really good game. I thought he marshalled the defence really well. We knew that the threat was going to come from crosses, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin was going to be around the box. And I think he, alongside the other two centre-backs, he marshalled the whole team really well and stopped and created chances. So I'm probably going to give him an 8 out of 10, to be honest. I don't know whether you lads think that's too high, because he was at fault with the goal, perhaps. But yeah, I think I'd probably stick with a solid 8.
I think this was his best game in a while. He
was a fault for the goal. Calvert-Lewin gets in front of Lascelles, so
I would say apart from that, that was probably one of his better games.
Yeah, he hasn't been very hit and miss this season, has he? But yeah, it's Matt's score, so he'll get the stick in the comments, not me.
Yeah, if you're going to give any stick, give it to me, because I give him the 8 out of 10. But I think, like you say, Liam, it was one of his better games in a while, and I don't know how much people will say that it was his fault for the goal, or if it was just Calvert-Lewin being a really good striker and being aware whether it was an error or just really good striking play from the Calvert-Lewin. But moving on, Liam, Federico Fernandez, the third and final centre-back in that 3. Do you think he had another good defensive performance today?
Yeah, I think he did. I think he's just quite similar to Schar. The back 3 weren't really tested. I know he was getting forward a bit, so I think I would give him a 7. Because I don't think he was a 6, and I don't think he was an 8. In my opinion,
I think that's probably fair, to be honest. It's going to be the case with a lot of the players today, because it was such a boring game for large parts of it. It was just very average. So I think we're going to see a lot of 6s and 7s across the board, as we've already seen. Obviously, we'll come away with the 3 points, so it's going to be more positive than negative. But yeah, like you say, the defence did really well, keeping out the attack of Calvert-Lewin, who would look like their only real threat, if we're being honest. And then moving to the left-hand side, we've got Jamaal Lewis. Liam, I'm going to come to you for opinion, but also I know, Liam, you've got things you want to say about Lewis as well. So we'll get Lee's rating and how he thought he played, and then we'll come to you, Liam.
I think in the first half he was scared to pass the ball going forward. He just seemed wanted to go back. But then I think in the second half, I think he did play a lot better. I think he was looking for passes. I think he's just maybe sometimes scared. He looked like he was scared in the first half to pass a ball forward or do that risky pass. But I think it was one of his better games. But then I don't think Everton really attacked us, so you couldn't really assess him defensively. Obviously, he did get a block onto the cross that went in the box, but you can't really blame him for the goal, because it was total deflection. But then he passed that ball for Ryan Fraser, which was a very good pass. So, yeah.
What would you give him out of 10? Do you think?
Oh, is it me scoring?
Well, I was going to go late, but why not?
Well, if I'm going to score, I think he was much better. I think he was the outlet on the left-hand side, because I think Allan saint-maximin was playing for the middle, and we didn't really have anyone on that left. I'm going to score him an 8. I think it was one of his much better performances. I do, yeah. Look at Liam giving them looks there. Liam, there's a story going around everybody who's watching. Liam doesn't like Jamaal Lewis, and I
don't like him.
I know you want to say Paul Dummett. I think he was much better going forward. I think he was the outlet, and we've cried on about having an outlet on the wings for a long time. And defensively, I don't think he'd done anything wrong. He had a few blocks. As my cat makes an appearance, shock. But I just think that defensively, I don't think Everton's right flank troubled him whatsoever. I thought he was brilliant today, 8 out of 10.
I'm torn, because obviously, he was a bit of an outlet. He made that really good pass for the second goal, but he did look scared forwards, and I was never confident when the ball's at his feet. Like he gets the ball on his left foot, and he's got the outlet down the left hand side, whether that's Fraser, Almiron, or saint-maximin or someone. But then he always turns around and plays it backwards. He plays the safe route, and I don't know whether that's coached into him or if he's just lacking a bit of confidence. Obviously, the pass that led to the second goal, it was quite an open pass. There wasn't any pressure on him to play that ball, and he showed his quality by playing it. But I think you're right, he wasn't really defensively troubled. He couldn't really do much more for the goal. I think it's maybe a little bit high in my opinion, but we'll stick with it. 7.
I think 6 or 7. Jamaal. I'll stick up for you, Jamaal. Don't worry.
Brilliant stuff. Right, Liam then. Jeff Hendrick, the ever-present god in midfield with his long, luscious locks. What did you make of his performance today? Because God Almighty, it's painful to know sometimes.
It was just average. I think he just did his job. Yeah. He was there to like stop the play, and I don't think he was. I think if we're looking at normally, it's normally Hayden and John Joe Shelby. And I think he was the Hayden of that centre too. I think he broke up play well, but he didn't really do much else really. So I think I'll probably give him a 6.
Yeah, another average score. I think it's fair to put him on the lower side of the average.
I even think that's a bit harsh because I think defensively he was brilliant. Defensively, he protected the back 5, if you want to call it. Obviously, offensively, going forward, it doesn't really offer you much, but I think you've done a job and he was asked to do that today. So it's Liam who's going to get the stick for that. I think Hendrick, I'll give Hendrick a 7, me. I think he protected her really well. In the absence of Hayden, remember, he's coming in for Hayden. I think he's done a good job.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm just sick of
it. Was an okay. I think you're right, though. It's just another average performance today. It's a 6 or a 7, middle of the road. Nothing spectacular, but nothing too wrong either. For the next one, I'll take Sean Longstaff. And for me, I genuinely think he was one of our best players. If Callum Wilson hadn't scored a brace today, I'd be giving Sean Longstaff man of the match. He was absolutely everywhere today. I think I'm going to give him slightly higher than Lewis and Lascelles. I'm going to go for an 8.5 rather than a 9 because I feel like 9's getting to the stratospheric when we're talking about Sean Longstaff. But he was really in the centre of the park, and he was solid defensively, breaking up play, hassling the midfield, and he got forward a few times as well. Like he's had that chance that's really well saved by Allan in the second half. He should probably get on the score sheet there, if not for a fantastic keeper. Wasn't sold on his set pieces, which is obviously something they've worked on in the week with coaching because we never usually play those sorts of corners, pulling it back to the edge of the box and that. But I think that's more probably Steve Bruce being a bit scared of the physical presence of Everton in the box and not really thinking that we're going to challenge in there. So I'm not really putting the blame on Longstaff there. But Liam, do you agree with that performance from Longstaff? I think he was the star in our midfield today.
Yeah, it's definitely one of his probably best performance in a while. Like he didn't seem out of his depth. He seemed like he seemed like the Sean Longstaff from a couple of seasons ago when he first burst on the scene.
Yeah.
I don't think I would give him an 8.5. I think I probably would have given him a 7. Like
that was one of your own. He's an North Shields lad.
Wait, can I be biased though? Do you know what I mean?
I think I have to agree. I think Sean a much better performance, but I think if he's going to play Sean, he needs a run of games. You kind of just come in and take them back out again. And Yanelli scored. Obviously, it was a great save by the keeper. So he broke through. But yeah, he was much better performance today, 100%. But yeah, the score was a little bit high. Matt's probably been a bit too, what's the word I'm looking for? Praiseful there. But yeah, he did have a much better game. I'll score him an 8.
Yeah. 8, yeah. I think I've only given 8.5 just because I thought he had a slightly better game than Lewis and Lascelles. But we'll agree to disagree. Let us know in the comments down below in what you would give all the players. Get involved. Send us a tweet on Twitter or get involved on the Facebook as well. Newcastle Fans TV. At least Cat makes an appearance. I wonder what the Cat would give the team today. But now we'll move on to our more attacking outlet in midfield, Miguel Almiron. Lee, do you want to take this one? Maybe get your Cat involved as well if they want to.
Yeah, I think my Cat's bugger off now. I think Almiron, much better performance. There's a lot of graft today, loads. At one point I seen him run over and tackle it right back as well. All over, buzzing around, interacting. Very good performance. I'm going to score him an 8. Although he didn't whip any balls, and that's my only criticism of Almiron is I like to see more crosses come in from him, and that's whether he plays on the left or the right. I don't like him on the right, but he was much performance, worked really, really hard today. So I think he deserved that score high line. Obviously, I was watching the watch along as well with Adam and Carl and Jay, and they were singing his praises for his work rate. And I think against a team like Everton, you're going to try and dog out a win. And to be fair to Bruce, he deserved to play him, worked hard, and you've got to credit Bruce for sticking him in, but Almiron should be in there. For me, I'd like to say Almiron in the 10, but on the left, he was much more better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. Liam, what are your thoughts on Almiron today?
Yeah, I think, like I've said for the last couple of people, I think it's been one of his best games. attacking wise, I think he was really good. But like I think what Lee said, he does need to put a bit more crosses in, especially if he's playing on the wing.
You also remember as well. Remember, we had that counter attack when Allan saint-maximin should have scored, and Almiron picks it up at the left back position and sets him off, and Wilson plays in Allan saint-maximin, and Allan saint-maximin should have scored. But little stuff like that Miggy can do from defensive positions. He's such a grafter.
Yeah, you mentioned that tackle he made at right back. I was making notes during the game, and one of the ones that stood out was a little 10-minute period. Almiron tracked back when Lewis was out of position, tackled the right back, stopped the cross getting in, and then 9 minutes later was when saint-maximin should have scored, broke from their corner, completely burned Andre Gomes with his pace, and picked the right pass at the right time. So a really good performance from him today. But we'll move on to the enigma that is Allan saint-maximin. Liam, what do you make of his performance today? He was subbed off again by Steve Bruce in the second half.
Hitty missy. If he scored the goal, we would be raving about. If he scored that chance, you would be raving about him. But it just seemed like he was hitty missy again. See, like I don't want to rate him a 6, but then I don't think he was anything higher than a 7. I think he's just he ran into a lot of players today. Like he turned into players. He just seemed like he was just hitting a brick wall. So I think I'll probably just give him like a 6.5.
I think you're generous to me. I think you should be given a 3 or 4. I think it's shocking today. I think I don't like him. I don't like him in the 10. I just don't like him. You're not seeing the best of him. You're going to play him. You need to get him out wide. The last 3 games he's been effectively anonymous. Yes, he's had 1 or 2 chances, but saint-maximin, not for me. I don't like him there, and I think that's a really, really poor performance again by probably Bruce as well. Why are you playing him there? Play Almiron there. Get ASM out wide. I thought he was very, very poor today. He doesn't support Wilson enough for me, and Wilson relies on service out wide. And it's funny that the goal came from Fraser on the counter attack from a wide man.
Do you not think he just doesn't play maximum? Do you not think he just doesn't play maximum on the wing because he's not really defensive enough compared to Miggy?
I just don't think you can. If you're going to play wing backs, where are you going to play Allan saint-maximin? That's the problem. If we go back to 4, then you'll probably go left or right, and you'll say the better of them. So the system, yes, we've got 4 points, and it's all about the team. But Allan saint-maximin suffering in this wing back position.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there, Lee. I mean, I think 6.5 is probably a bit generous, but he's just, I don't know whether our expectations of him are too high because we've seen how capable he is, how talented he is. So I don't know whether we're expecting more from him just because he's shown us that he can offer more. Like if that was a Jacob Murphy performance today, we wouldn't be criticising him too harshly because we wouldn't expect that. We wouldn't expect him to go and create a goal or beat a man and finish that shot in the number 10. But yeah, it's just another poor performance today, and I don't know. I think you're right, Lee. I think he is played out of position. He does suit the wide wing position a bit more. Like the best bits we saw from today, apart from that one chance he should have scored, was when he took players on, cutting in off the wing on his right foot. But yeah, another poor performance today. On to the main man himself now. He bags a brace today, Callum Wilson. Liam, what did you make of his performance today? He had to make a goal for himself with the penalty, and obviously Fraser setting him up for the second. He had added 2 more goals to his tally. What did you make of it?
Very good. He just seems to be in the right position at the right time, which I think we lacked last season. He tracks back as well. Like he seems to actually he seems like he wants to play for the team. So I think I would give him a 9. Obviously, he got set off with that penalty, didn't he? And then the second goal was sort of, he was like I said, he was in the right place at the right time for that second goal. Like, so a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. I think
you can't really argue, can you? You can't really argue. He won us the game. He won us the penalty, scored the penalty, and he's sniffing around the box. We haven't had a striker like that sniffing around that 6-yard box for years, and it's what strikers love. Van Nistelrooy scored goals for fun from 1-2 yards out, and look at Callum Wilson. He's doing the business for us now. What's he got? 6 Premier League goals. Brilliant.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I think even he could have been a 10 out of 10 today if Longstaff puts that in. I think that would have been a Wilson assist because he did well in the box to to work a little magic with his and play the pass into Longstaff, so that could have been even higher today. But I think definitely man of the match for us. Obviously, with the 2 goals, it's kind of undisputed. Moving to the bench, Fraser was the first sub to come. Saint-Maximin in the 73rd minute. Lee, what did you make of him today? Obviously, making second goal for Callum Wilson as well.
I think he helped. I think he helped stretch the game, playing on the counter. I think the tactic worked when we went 1-0 up because we were sitting more and more defensively, and that allowed us to stretch the game. And Fraser obviously will grab the assist. Don't know about the number 10, but I do like him out wide. I think you've got to score him high. I think if we were drawing the game or we were losing the game, he would have been effectively more of a game changer because he did help and he did contribute to the winning goal. So I'm going to score him an 8. I think he deserves it. He was very bright. And you've got to say he's a little bit unlucky not to start the games. I know he played out of position last week at Wolves and obviously had a great international spell with Scotland scoring a goal and getting a man of the match in another game. And today, Ryan Fraser has a fantastic performance. Helped us, like I say, get the winning goal. I would like to see him start with the front 4, Wilson, Fraser, Almiron, Allan, saint-Maximin in the right positions one game and see how they all get on as a I know I said duo, but duo is not, or a quad 4. But yeah, fantastic. Brilliant performance. And for me, next week, why is he not starting?
Yeah. Liam, what do you think Fraser should start against Southampton next week?
No, I think I would leave the team the way it is. Maybe drop Hendrick for Hayden, but I think we should just leave it the way it is. I think unless someone does something drastically bad, then Fraser comes in. Obviously, he did have a really good spell. I think even without assistant, I think he did change the game. I think it's good that we have got that pace that can come off the bench and destroy players. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's what we're lacking. Like I think last season we would have brought Atu on. Atu wouldn't have done that.
You also remember you can play a wing back because he did for Bournemouth effectively as well, didn't he?
Yeah. But you play him on the left or the right if you did play him as a...
Oh, that's a golden question, isn't it? Because Liam doesn't like Lewis, so Fraser could come in there nicely. But then again, he can play on the right. But I think he's effective more on the left because he cuts in with his pace, doesn't he? But that would mean if you're playing the wing backs, Lewis will have to drop to the bench, and I can't see that happening.
No. Then Isaac Hayden came off the bench in the 82nd minute for Miguel Almiron. I don't understand why he's starting, to be honest. He didn't really do much when he came on because he didn't really have a chance to. He was on the pitch, I think, 82nd minute would have been 8 minutes plus stoppage time, so just under 15 minutes. Didn't really have a chance to impact the game too much, but did offer a bit more defensive cover. Miggy was obviously ran his socks off all game. He was getting a bit tired. It was the right decision to bring him on. But I just don't understand how he's not starting. He put in another 7 out of 10 for me, which is what you expect from Hayden. You don't expect anything more, any less. Would you know him as Mr. Consistent in the middle? But if he's fit enough to start, if he's fit enough to sit on the bench 2 weeks in a row, he's fit enough to start for me. So Liam, you mentioned next week Southampton, maybe he comes in that midfield for one of those, maybe Hendrick. But I just can't wrap my head around why he's not starting. But yeah, in terms of his performance today, solid. Can't really say anything more than that. Like the rest of the team, just average, solid, showed up the defence. Do you lads have anything to add on that, or is that pretty much summing it up?
We pretty much summed it up for me. Like it's a typical Isaac Hayden performance.
Yeah, just came in, sat in front of the defence. Find himself probably a little bit hard done by, not starting, because Hendrick seems to have this clause in his contract where he has to start every game, which is weird as out. But yeah, for me, Hayden comes in. Hayden, I would agree for him. Hayden comes in for Hendrick next week.
Yeah, I'd agree there. And last but certainly not least, from the subs bench was Andy Carroll coming in off the bench for Callum Wilson, who wasn't happy to be subbed. He didn't play quite long enough to get a mark on here, so we're not going to give him a score. But what did you make of his performance in general, Liam? Do you think he was that outlet we needed when we were ending the game with our backs against the walls, or did he not really offer that off the bench?
I can't really remember him holding the ball up much, but I know he did a couple of bits defensively when they had corners and when he nearly scored an own goal. But it's just he's going to be that player where if we're winning 2-1 in the last in injury time, he's going to come on because they just want to lump the ball up and try and keep it. Do you know what I mean? But like I said, he wasn't on long enough to impact the game massively.
Well, he nearly scored an own goal, but apart from that, he didn't really do much. Luckily, Darlow was alive to it. And last but not least, we have to talk about Steve Bruce. Unfortunately, every week on the show, we end up with the manager's score. And this week, I'm going to ask each of you to give a rating, and then we'll find the middle ground of what we gave him. So, Lee, if you start us off, we'll go from left to right. What did you think of Steve Bruce, the way he set up the team and the way his tactics worked for us today?
I don't like the wing backs. I don't. But if you said to me you're going to get 4 points from Wolves and Everton, I think all three of us would say, yeah, I go on then.
Yeah.
Look, there's a couple of positions I would like to see change, but as Steve Bruce says, we're all managers nowadays and keyboard warriors such as ourselves as fan channels and stuff like that, having an opinion, and everybody else in the comments rightly has an opinion on Newcastle United. But if you say to me you got 4 points from 2 games, yeah, and we beat Everton, you've got to remember Everton are top of the league before today, or joint top, whatever, with the Merseyside rivals. But Fraser substitution, I think Bruce has got a lot of critics about his subs, but I thought the Fraser one worked a treat today. That was brilliant. Sean Longstaff coming in performance-wise, we expected him to start. He had a really good game. All the defence, you can't really say anyone had a bad game. So there's a lot of pluses to come out of today, and hopefully no injuries, and it doesn't look like we have. My only criticism is Allan saint-maximin. I don't like him in that 10. I think he's wasted, and I think he's not getting the best out of him. And Wilson scoring goals. So taking that all into context, the football was much better than what it was against Wolves. It's still not brilliant. I still feel it has another 2 or 3 gears to go to look attractive, because Kieran Dyer called it boring and Chris Sutton's came out and criticised, but rightly so. I don't think the football is pretty, but it was much better today. But I still feel there's a long way to go. But I'm going to score him an 8. I think 8 out of 10, 3 points at Everton, top of the table. It's a fantastic performance. Currently sitting in the top 10, depending if Arsenal win or not. We might drop 1 place, but yeah, 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I think he's pretty spot on, to be honest. I agree with most of what you said there. I'd just add that, I think comparing last week's performance to today's, we went into Wolves with absolutely no identity, no knowledge of what even the formation was going to be, what kind of football we wanted to play, and we were lucky to scrape a point at the end of the day. But this week we landed, even on Twitter when the teams were announced, the Newcastle tweeted what formation we were going to be playing, which they don't usually do. Maybe that's just kind of sticking a middle finger up at the fans that have criticised Steve Bruce saying he doesn't know what he's doing. But he looked at Everton, he looked where the goals have come from. You've seen Calvert-Lewin scores all his goals this season inside the 6-yard box, and most have come from crosses. And we've stopped that. We've played 5 at the back with wing-backs who've effectively shut down their narrow formation. We've not allowed crosses in, and I think a lot of that's down to Bruce's setup of the team. He knew what to expect, and if not for a lucky goal, it's a 2-0 win against top of the table. It's a great performance. I think I'd give him a 9, to be honest. Got no criticism. Maybe the subs, Hayden could have come on a little bit earlier. Saint-Maximin could have come off a bit earlier as well. I don't think Andy Carroll was necessarily needed. But obviously gives Wilson a bit of rest. I'd give him a 9. So we're currently sat on an 8.5 with those 2 ratings. But Liam, in your dressing gown, what would you give Steve today?
7.
Right, just to be awkward.
I think he's got lucky again with that penalty. Obviously the team played well, but I feel like he's just constantly getting lucky performances again, lucky victories. So I'm going to go with 7.
I think it's a tad harsh. I mean, I'm not Bruce's biggest fan, but I think defensively he got it spot on today.
Yeah, I'm the first person to criticise him when it comes to a bad result, but I've got to hold my hands and say he got it right today. I think, to be honest, for all of the players getting the 7s, it should be fair to give the manager a 7 as well. But I think as a team performance overall, we did. I think an 8 out of 10 is probably about. Obviously, Lee, you give an 8. I give a 9, and Liam, you give a 7. So I think that's probably fair enough for Steve Bruce. An 8 out of 10 today as Newcastle beat Everton 2-1 at home. A bit of squeaky bum time in the end, but we come away with all 3 points, which sees us, I think, 10 points clear of the relegation zone, which we've got to be happy with at this stage of the season, unfortunately, whether you like it or not. We can't complain. But thanks very much for joining us on Scoring the Players. Guys, don't forget we've got group reaction coming up with the lads and the last word later on. I think Sam's hosting that this week. So stay tuned, keep your eyes on the channel. Johnny, sorry. I'm going to get some stick for that, aren't I? Right. But yeah, stay tuned. Don't forget to like like the video, drop a comment in the comment section below. Let us know whether you agree or disagree with the ratings. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and join us next week when we face Southampton in the league.